horror fans, are you quivering in anticipation for the Silent Hill 2 remake? While we are all eagerly waiting to tread those foggy streets again, let's dive into a list of games that will scratch that eerie Silent Hill itch. From otherworldly horrors to psychological thrills, I've got everything to keep your pulse racing and your lights on. So grab your flashlight, it's time to explore the shadowy corners of the gaming world that will give you the Silent Hill vibes you so desperately seek.
I need it!
Warning, there are spoilers ahead. Number 10, Concluse. Concluse is a low-resolution, atmospheric horror game inspired by classic survival horror titles such as Silent Hill. Set in a mysterious town called Hell, which, let's face it, really should have been the name for the town in Silent Hill, you play as Michael Benson, who, just like James Sunderland, is also searching for his missing wife. The game emphasises exploration and puzzle solving, utilising a first-person perspective to heighten the psychological horror elements, and features similar low-resolution graphics and otherworldly dimensions. Hopefully, Michael has a better ending than James does. Unless it's the Shiba dog ending. Who doesn't want that? Number 9, The Evil Within and The Evil Within 2. Created by the legendary Shinji Mikami of Resident Evil fame, the Evil Within series is a cornerstone of modern survival horror. The first game, released in 2014, introduces us to Detective Sebastian Castellanos as he navigates a horrifying world filled with gruesome traps and monstrous foes. Its sequel, The Evil Within 2, launched in 2017, and enhances the nightmare with larger, more explorable environments, focuses on Sebastian's quest to save his daughter. Both games skillfully blend psychological horror with survival mechanics, offering intense, resource-constrained gameplay in nightmarish scenarios. Also, what's with all these missing kids and wives? Someone really needs to do something. Number 8, Layers of Fear. Layers of Fear shares Silent Hill's affinity for psychological horror and explores the protagonist's psyche through an environment that shifts and distorts based on their mental state, while also being a horror game that concludes the franchise with a deep dive into the disturbing realms of art and insanity. Players explore a Victorian mansion, hop aboard an eerie ship, and are driven round the bend in a lighthouse, while experiencing the stories of 3 protagonists: the painter, the actor, and the writer, whose fates are intertwined by their crafts. The immersive storytelling and the emphasis on what the fuck over jump scares, Layers of Fear echoes the haunting and often introspective horror found in pretty much every Silent Hill game. Right, off to call my therapist. Number 7, Organ Quarter. Organ Quarter is a VR survival horror game that pays homage to the slow, methodical survival horror experiences of the 90s. Players must navigate a city twisted into a nightmarish wasteland, solving puzzles, managing resources, and engaging in intense combat. Sound familiar? The story is rich in dark themes and has an oppressive atmosphere, while the use of VR brings players up close and personal to its grotesque monsters and eerie environments. It's just a game. It's just a game. It's just a game. Number 6, Tormented Souls 1 and 2. Tormented Souls revives classic survival horror gameplay inspired by genre pioneers such as Resident Evil and Alone in the Dark. Players take on the role of Caroline Walker, investigating the mysterious disappearance of twin girls. More missing kids? Really? In a haunted mansion turned hospital. The game features a modernised control scheme, fixed camera perspectives, and a mix of combat, puzzle solving, and exploration. Like Silent Hill, this game really has the creep factor, along with a deep, dark narrative, immersing the players into a world where reality often blurs with nightmare. Starting to think we should stop opening mysterious letters from strangers. Number 5, Alan Wake 1 and 2. Alan Wake is a psychological thriller set in the fictional town of Bright Falls, where best-selling novelist Alan Wake is drawn into a desperate search for his missing wife. Okay, we really need to stop letting our wives get kidnapped by monsters. While confronting dark forces using light as a weapon. The game, presented like a TV series, combines intense atmosphere and narrative with challenging combat, while sharing Silent Hill's penchant for psychological torment and supernatural phenomena. The sequel gives us more of this horrifying alternate dimension, but don't worry, there's an unsettling 20-minute musical number that will help lift your spirits. Number 4, Hollow Body. Hollow Body is a tech-noir survival horror game set in a dystopian near future, within an exclusion zone of an abandoned British city, and has already been dubbed the British Silent Hill. The gameplay combines classic survival elements with puzzles, resource management, and limited combat, focusing on narrative and exploration. Hollow Body has a similarly desolate urban setting, while also having the player explore the eerie environments and solve puzzles that delve into the dark underlying themes, creating a tension-filled narrative that keeps players engrossed and uneasy. Now I feel like we need some Britishized Silent Hill quotes. There was a massive hole here, but it's only bloody gone and disappeared. Number 3, Visage. Visage is a first-person psychological horror game set in a mysterious house with a grim history. The game focuses on exploration and slow-paced atmospheric tension, where players experience realistic and disturbing events as the house changes dynamically, intensifying the horror as players uncover the dark past of its previous inhabitants. Like Silent Hill, it uses its foreboding environment to engage players, with themes of diminishing mental health and emotional strains rather than outright violence. The ever-changing game settings and the emphasis on story over action resonate with Silent Hill's approach to horror. This one may leave you a tad more traumatized though. Speaking from experience here. Number 2, Cry of Fear. Cry of Fear is a psychological horror game directly inspired by Silent Hill, following a similar approach of deserted towns filled with horrific creatures and delusions, but changing it up into a first-person shooter that challenges players to navigate the nightmarish environment of Favasholm, using a variety of weapons to fight monsters and solving puzzles, all while unravelling the protagonist's deep-seated fears and madness. You know, just your average day in Favasholm. Number 1, Silent Hill 2, the original. Okay, so I know it's a little cheeky to put this at the number 1 spot, but what else could possibly fill that Silent Hill 2 shaped hole like the original? Silent Hill 2 was originally released on the PlayStation 2, and although the controls are a little clunky, the graphics were actually pretty good for its time. The game is renowned for its deep psychological horror, complex symbolism, and emotional storytelling, so much so that it has inspired many a game dev to try and follow in its footsteps, as we have seen here today. While the remake will spruce up the game with slicker controls and crisper graphics, there's nothing like the original for that blast from the past. Diving into the original version lets us relive the excitement that sparked our love for a Silent Hill remake in the first place. The eerie atmosphere, the chilling story, those unforgettable scares, and of course, that soundtrack. Here's to hoping the remake delivers all that horror magic again, and maybe even traumatizes some newcomers. In a good way. Let me know if you will be playing the remake, or if you have checked out any of my picks from today's video. Until next time, stay spooky.